The Pixel 6a was Google's mid-range offering for 2022, and with the release of the Google Pixel 7a, a lot of people are wondering if they should buy that device or if the Pixel 6a still holds up in 2023 and they can save some money and buy this instead. I've been using the Pixel 6a for almost a year now, and in my time with it, I have come to absolutely love the experience. It offers a lot more value than most other smartphones at this price point, so it only makes sense for the Pixel 7a to be an upgrade over the 6a, right? Well, yeah, in some ways it is. But are those upgrades significant enough to choose the 7a over the 6a? Let's look at some points as to why I think this smartphone, the Google Pixel 6a, is still worth getting in 2023. I've been using this device pretty much every day since I got it, and there are a couple of things I would like to highlight about this particular smartphone. Now, if you're in the market for a budget Android device, or you're looking to get into the Pixel lineup of smartphones, maybe you just want to experience Android at its cleanest and arguably finest, then the Pixel 6a definitely embodies all of those qualities. In my time with the Pixel 6a, it got the Android 13 update, but I am yet to update to Android 14, and that's mostly because of stability reasons. Android 13 did come with a couple of bugs upon its arrival, but they have since been sorted out for the most part. Anyway, let's start off with what I think is the most interesting feature of this smartphone, and the feature a lot of Pixel devices often get praised for, and that is the camera. As we all know, the Pixel 6a has dual rear-facing cameras, both 12 megapixels. One is a main sensor and the other is the ultra-wide sensor. And on the front we have an 8 megapixel selfie camera as well. And while those numbers might seem small in comparison to the 108 or 64 megapixel sensors that a lot of smartphones are getting nowadays, Google definitely makes up for the relatively modest hardware with amazing software in the form of their computational photography. When it comes to the pictures, I can boast of clear, rich, and vibrant images, arguably the best photo results you can get from any smartphone at this price point. Emphasis on at this price point. We'll talk about that later in the video. Taking pictures with the Pixel 6a has been a joy, and in some certain niche situations, I have found that the Pixel 6a actually outperformed my Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra. Now, that's not to say this smartphone has quote-unquote flagship killer cameras, as at the end of the day, the larger sensors and higher megapixel counts on a flagship camera like the S23 Ultra or the Pixel 7 Pro will show in the picture quality, but you will not be anywhere near disappointed with the images that you get from the Pixel 6a. When it comes to the Pixel 7a, Google finally stepped away from their tried and true dual 12 megapixel sensors and went for something new here. The 7a comes with a new 64 megapixel main sensor and a 13 megapixel ultra-wide sensor. It also has a 13 megapixel selfie camera. Of course, the newer hardware will contribute to better photos, at least in theory, and the higher megapixel count allows for more information to be captured per image. And I know this is a very welcome change, especially considering the fact that the Pixel 6a and the 7a don't have dedicated telephoto lenses, so the higher megapixels from the Pixel 7a images can allow you to zoom in without losing that much quality. Anyway, if you'd like to see a dedicated comparison between the Pixel 6a and the Pixel 7a, then subscribe to the channel and I will try to get that video out as soon as I can find where to get the Pixel 7a. A couple of months ago, I made a tweet stating that the 60Hz refresh rate display on the Pixel 6a felt like 90Hz because the software was just so smooth, and a lot of people agreed. Meanwhile, some other people disagreed, and that was mostly because MKBHD said this was the choppiest 60Hz display he had ever used.
The 60Hz specifically because this one feels slow, and this is purely coming from my decade of phone testing experience. This one feels choppy.
And honestly, I feel like that's a little more subjective than some people think, as in my experience, using the 6a has felt so smooth and buttery that sometimes I wonder if I'm actually using a mid-range device or a flagship device. However, it seems like just enough people complained about the 60Hz refresh rate for Google to upgrade to a 90Hz panel on the Pixel 7a. Aside from the refresh rate, the displays on the 6a and the 7a are practically identical, and so are the other elements of the build quality. It's no secret that I love the design of the Pixel 6a, as it looks very similar to the Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro. And I actually prefer it quite a lot to the metal visor we got with the Pixel 7, 7 Pro and 7a. But this is just my opinion, and other people might actually prefer the design of the Pixel 7 series. However, the plastic back with the glossy finish on the Pixel 6a made the phone very slippery. So I had to get a rugged case very quickly so I don't drop the device. And I believe the same applies to the Pixel 7a. The difference this time is the fact that the Pixel 7a has support for 7.5 watt wireless charging, which might be an important feature for some people. One more thing I love about the Pixel 6a is the fact that contrary to other mid-range smartphones that rarely get any major software updates or security patches, Google actually keeps supporting the Pixel 6a for a prolonged period of time. It gets monthly software updates with security patches and bug fixes, and it will get Google's extended major software updates. Moving on to the performance, the Pixel 6a launched with the first generation Tensor chip, and as I'm sure we've heard, that chipset has had its fair share of problems, ranging from stuttering to overheating and so on. Fortunately, I never encountered any of these issues on my device. Now, there is still a bit of a limitation with regards to performance on the Pixel 6a, especially considering the fact that this device only came with 6GB of RAM. However, this doesn't significantly impact the performance in a negative way from my experience, as performance on this device is still very smooth, especially considering the fact that it launched at $450. The Pixel 7a on the other hand tells a slightly different story when it comes to performance. It houses the Tensor G2 chip and comes with 8GB of RAM. Google clearly listened to some of the complaints consumers had about the Pixel 6a and tried to improve on it. But all these improvements came at a cost, which is the price. So let's expand on that, because that's one of the main reasons I believe the Pixel 6a is definitely still worth it in 2023. The 6a launched at a price of about $450 in the United States, but can now be regularly found for about $250 to $300. And for that price, you get a flagship chipset, a decent amount of RAM, amazing cameras, great software, and a lot of software updates. And while you can argue that you get the same on the Pixel 7a but with better cameras, a 90Hz refresh rate, and wireless charging, it does come at an additional cost because the Pixel 7a launched at $500. And on its own, that might sound like a great deal for all the value you're getting, but with the Pixel 7 priced at $600 and frequently going below the $500 mark due to sales, the Pixel 7a is a pretty hard sell. You would get better cameras and a more premium build with the Pixel 7, and for $300, the Pixel 6a is a no-brainer if you don't mind the 60Hz refresh rate, the lack of wireless charging, and the slightly older camera hardware. If you're on a budget of about $500, then personally I would recommend getting the Pixel 6a and saving the rest of the money to get some accessories like some Pixel Buds or even the Pixel Watch. And I know most people who are usually looking for a new smartphone usually have some sort of criteria that they want to fill, or a bit of a checklist. So let's make one for the Pixel 6a. Affordable? Check. Software updates? Check. Good performance? Check. Awesome cameras? Check. The Google Pixel 6a is looking more and more enticing every single time. I will be making a day in the life video with the Pixel 6a. I know I said I was going to do that a couple of months ago, but I have been occupied. So anyway, I'll be making a day in the life video, hopefully, with the Pixel 6a in the coming weeks. So yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that. And pending when I upload that video, you can check out any of my videos in this playlist. Catch you in the next one. Peace.